So, you give someone what you think is a lovely, off-the-cuff compliment. Hey, love that sweater. Or, you killed that presentation. Just a little verbal sunshine, a social nicety. And instead of the standard easy thanks, you're met with a flinch, a stiff shrug, a mumbled, this old thing, or a quick deflection. Oh, I was so nervous. The compliment doesn't land, it crashes. And it's awkward. You're left feeling like you handed them a beautifully wrapped gift and they immediately checked it for ticking sounds. We've all met them. Maybe it's you. Maybe someone you know. The person who seems to have a subtle allergy to praise. They don't just brush it off humbly. They actively reject it, distrust it, or dissolve under its weight. It's more than just modesty. It's a whole psychological weather system. And today, we're going to explore the minds of people who dislike casual compliments. What's really happening when a kind word feels like a threat? Let's be clear. This isn't about people who hate obvious flattery. We all see through that. This is about the genuine, well-meaning compliments that get caught in a psychological crossfire. By the end of this, you'll understand the hidden scripts running in their minds, and you might just see a piece of yourself in one of these profiles. First up, let's talk about the internal auditor. Picture this. You tell them you have a real talent for making people feel welcome. Inside their head, it's not a compliment. It's a performance review. The internal auditor has a relentless, hypercritical inner voice. Their self-concept is a detailed ledger, and your casual compliment is an unverified entry. Do I really? What about the time I forgot to ask about Sarah's job interview? What about the party where I hid by the snacks? They must be saying this because they feel sorry for me, or because it's polite. The compliment creates cognitive dissonance. It doesn't match their internal data. Accepting it would mean their harsh, carefully maintained self-assessment is wrong, and that inner critic, it's a tyrant that doesn't tolerate dissent. So they reflexively correct the record. Oh, I'm not that good. I just got lucky. For them, rejecting the compliment isn't rude. It's a psychological necessity, a way to maintain a painful but familiar equilibrium. It's exhausting, living in that constant audit. Your kind word, instead of relieving the pressure, just gives the auditor more paperwork. Then there's the suspicion analyst. For them, a compliment isn't a gift, it's a transaction. And their first question is, what's the catch? This mindset often stems from past environments where praise was manipulative, conditional, or the prelude to a request. Maybe they had a parent who only praised stellar grades, making love feel contingent, or a boss who buttered them up before dumping a weekend's worth of extra work on their desk. In their world, language is a tool for maneuvering, not connecting. So when you say, your hair looks amazing today, the suspicion analyst's brain goes into threat assessment mode. Why are they saying that? Do they need a favor? Are they making up for being cold to me yesterday? Is this a subtle dig implying it usually looks bad? They scan your face, your tone, the context for the hidden contract. A casual compliment in this light feels disingenuous or loaded. Their rejection, yeah right, is a defense mechanism, a way to refuse to play a game they believe they've already figured out. It's a wall they built to keep out manipulation, but it also, sadly, keeps out genuine warmth. Now let's go deeper to a more vulnerable profile, the worthiness skeptic. This is where the discomfort is less about the compliment itself and more about the self it's supposed to attach to. The worthiness skeptic struggles with a fundamental sense of being enough. They operate on a core belief, I am flawed, and if people see the real me, they won't approve. So a compliment aimed at them feels misplaced, like mail delivered to the wrong address. You believe you're complimenting a facade, the carefully constructed version of themselves they present to the world. To accept the praise would feel like accepting praise for a mask they're wearing. It's fraudulent. It creates a deep anxiety of being found out. If they just say thank you and accept it, they feel they're perpetuating a lie, and the impending exposure becomes more terrifying. So they dismantle the compliment to align it with their internal reality. This presentation was good? No, the slides were a mess. I stumbled over my words. They redirect the praise to the thing, the sweater, project, away from their core self. For them, a simple thank you feels like an arrogant claim to a worthiness they simply don't feel. But here's a twist. Not all compliment aversion comes from a place of vulnerability. Meet the control purist. This person dislikes casual compliments because they see them as low-value social currency, inefficient. For the control purist, communication should be substantive, precise, and truthful. Nice shirt is to them a vague, meaningless noise people make to fill air. It lacks data. It doesn't specify what is nice about the shirt, cut, the color, the fabric. It feels like a programmed social script, not genuine observation. They value depth and authenticity above social smoothness. A tossed-off compliment feels like you're following a manual on how to human, and they find that insulting to both of you. They might respond with a challenging, "What do you mean?" Not to be difficult, but because they genuinely want to know if you have a real thought or are just on autopilot. Their rejection is a bid for a realer, less automated interaction. They're not wounded by the praise, they're mildly annoyed by what they perceive as its hollow, unthinking nature. Finally, let's consider the shadow dweller. This one is especially poignant. For the shadow dweller, bright spots of praise are uncomfortable because they are accustomed to, and sometimes even identify with, the background. They might be introverted, have low self-esteem, or come from a family or culture where singling out an individual is discouraged. Being noticed, even positively, feels like being thrust onto a stage they never auditioned for. The spotlight, however warm, is blinding and terrifying. It separates them from the safety of the group or the comfort of anonymity. Accepting a compliment means acknowledging they are separate, distinct, and visible, and that visibility feels dangerously vulnerable. Their dismissal, "It was nothing, everyone helped," is an attempt to diffuse the spotlight, to melt back into the shadows where they feel safe and unexamined. It's less about the words and more about the unsettling experience of being pulled into the social foreground. So, what ties all these minds together? At its core, rejecting a casual compliment is a form of self-protection. It's a shield against internal criticism, past betrayal, feelings of fraudulence, a loss of control, or the fear of exposure. The compliment isn't heard as "I appreciate you." It's heard as a challenge to a deeply held, often painful belief system. Now, the reflective part. Which profile resonated? Maybe you saw yourself in the internal auditor's constant self-correction, or recognized the strategic wariness of the suspicion analyst in a friend. Perhaps you're someone who just wishes people would say what they mean, like the control purist. Understanding this doesn't mean we stop giving compliments, but it might change how we give them. Instead of a broad, "great job," try, "The way you structured that argument was really compelling." Specificity bypasses the auditor and the suspicion analyst. It feels earned and observed. It gives the control purist the data they crave and offers the worthiness skeptic something concrete to hold on to that isn't their entire self. And if you're the one who struggles with compliments, maybe this is your invitation to notice that flinch, to ask yourself in that moment of rejection, what am I protecting? Which script just ran? That moment of awareness is the first quiet step towards disarming that defense system, not for the person giving the compliment, but for you, to allow a little bit of that external light to finally, slowly seep into the internal story, because you are allowed to take a compliment, not as a transaction or falsehood or a disruption, but simply as a moment where someone else's light happened to fall on you, and for a second, they saw what you sometimes struggle to see yourself. If this exploration of the hidden layers of behavior resonated with you, consider joining our community here. We dive deep into the psychology of everyday life, and in the comments, I'm genuinely curious. Does this land for you? Are you a compliment avoider, or have you been puzzled by one? Which type felt most familiar? The conversations down there are always the best part. Thanks for watching, and hey, nice choice of video today.